Hi West Babylon and happy ThursD.I.Y. On this ThursD.I.Y, I'm going to show you how to make a happy birthday banner. Right now, car parades for birthdays are all the rage, so you can do this at home on your own. So for this project, you need to cut letters out of cardstock. So I'm using 4.5 by 6.5 inch cardstock. I'm also using a thinner ribbon. Anything under a 1/2 inch for your ribbon should be sufficient. So these are 2 pieces of ribbon that are cut 10 feet long each. Then I have a pencil so that if I have to trace anything out or figure things out, I have it. And I have a hole punch. Now, you can use a single hole punch. It's probably more helpful, but this is what I have, so this is what I'm going to use. So for this, just so you can see before I get started, I actually thread it onto 2 pieces of ribbon, and this is to keep it flat on the car. So I have a knot holding it on either side, and then I knot it together so that it comes together as a cute little banner. And you can see it spells out happy birthday. For this one, I alternated my colors so you can see, but for the project I'm doing with you, I'm going to be using brown. It's really whatever color paper you have and whatever you can make work. Try it. Okay, so I have cut out my letters, and each of these are 4 by 4 inches. The only one that's different are my eyes, because if you have a 4 by 4 eye, it's not going to look like an eye. This is 4 by 2. So to do this, we're going to take our hole punch, and now we have to put holes on both the top and the bottom of each letter. And you want to make sure that there's 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom, even for the letters like A, and I'll show you. And this is what's going to help you keep it flat to the car. So I literally just push the part that I want to punch to the back of the hole puncher. All right, and then I'm going to get started. So you can see I'm centering them as I go. And it doesn't have to be exact as long as it's relatively centered. So now with the A, I have to put 2 holes on the top. And this is so I could thread my ribbon through. So there's 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. Now, if you don't have cardstock and you don't have Cricut machine, that's fine. You can print letters out from your printer and from your computer and just cut those out and use those. You could also hand draw your letters, or you can use a stencil for this. So you can see I'm putting 2 holes on the top and bottom of each of my letters. So now again, the Y doesn't have 2, so I have to put 2 holes on the bottom of the base. It's a little uncentered, but that's okay. This is going to be on a car, so no one's going to see the slight imperfections. I will say punching the holes is slightly therapeutic. Okay. Now the eye is the most tricky one because you have to make sure you get 2 holes on both top and bottom, but it's a little smaller to work with. Okay. And we'll just plod along. Same thing with the T. We have to make sure we have 2 holes. On the first one I only put 1. And my eye decided it wanted to just consistently flop around, and it ruined the whole banner. So you learn from your mistakes, and you get better at crafts as you go. Okay, we're almost there. Now with the D, you can see it's starting to curve, so I'm trying to put the punch on the relatively flat portion so that the letter will stay flat and straight in line with the rest of them. Okay. Same thing with the A. You have to make sure there's 2 in this small little space up here. Okay. All right. And that is the most complicated portion of this whole project, is just punching our holes. Again, we have to make sure there's 2 on the bottom of the Y. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is flip this so that it's in the right order again. I'm going to start with my ribbon. And now each is about 10 foot long, so I try to get myself about 1.5 feet on either side. and I'm going to knot it a couple times. It's kind of like putting beads on string. You want to have a stopper of some sort. So this knot is going to keep my H in the right spot. About 4 knots should do it to make it thick enough. All right, there we go. So I also found that it looks best when we thread it on by putting it under the hole and then over the top. So for each one, the ribbon will be showing through in the middle of the letter. Okay. And then I just take my H and I pull my ribbon all the way through until it hits my knot. And then I do that for each one. So now that was my H. And again, I'm going to go from underneath, then through the top for the A. And now you could see why I did 2 for each one, so that each one can have this little ribbon poking through. It really will help keep everything flat. So what I'm going to do is continuously just thread these on, and when I get to my second ribbon, I'll show you what to do for that as well. Okay, so I threaded my red ribbon through the top of each letter, and I do want to show you that as I'm doing this, I do leave a little gap between the Y and the B for birthday. If you wanted to get fancy, you could also add the name of the person whose birthday it is, but for this, I might want to reuse it, so I'm just keeping it a generic happy birthday. So now after I go through my Y, my last letter, the same way I started my project is the same way I'm going to end. And that is by knotting it, just to create a barrier so that my Y doesn't slip and slide everywhere. So now I have a little extra ribbon at the end, and I'm going to leave it for now. And I'm going to cut it with my second ribbon so they're both the same size. But it's good to have extra because if you do want to tack the name on, it's there. All right, so now we have our happy birthday all threaded together for the first time. So we now have to add in our second ribbon, and this is what's going to keep it flat on our car. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before, about 1.5 feet. I'm going to do my 4 knots to hold it in place. Alrighty. Almost there. Oh, that one was a little out of order. A little further than the other knots. Let me see if I could just connect them. There we go. They're all connected now. Okay, so this is a little trickier because you have to keep them spaced out as you go. So I like to keep it flat as I do this. So I'm going to thread it through the bottom of my H. And instead of moving the letter onto the ribbon, I'm moving the ribbon through the letter. And this is just going to make sure that everything stays spaced out the way I did for the top. And I want my shiny side of my ribbon, so I just flip it within my H so that it's showing. All right, and there we go. So now I am going to do the same for each letter. So you can see my H has ribbon through the top and the bottom. So now I have to do that for my A, and then so on and so forth. So what I'm going to do is continue to do this for my entire project, and I will show you how to end it in a moment. Okay, so I threaded the ribbons through both the top and the bottom, and you can see I kept the ribbon flat with the shiny side facing up throughout the whole project. So now, just for our finishing touches, what I like to do is just knot the 2 ribbons on either side together, and this just keeps everything in the right spot, and it ensures that my little knots won't move through because they do kind of peek through your little hole punches. So there we have one side, and now we're going to go to our end. Now this has a little extra string. You can see I kept everything straight throughout. So I'm going to just pull these 2 pieces together, just do one single knot. Okay. And then I'm just going to cut my ribbons So there's our excess, it's gone. And you can see there we have it, our beautiful happy birthday banner. So I do want to just say that this is very easy to tape to a car. Just be mindful that you don't tape it to your paint. You don't want to mess your paint job on your car up. I try to put it on places that I know the tape's going to come off and not peel anything up with it. And enjoy your birthday parades. It was a pleasure spending my Thursday with you, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.